Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 683 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our ninth book just came out. It's called From Letters to Leaders, The Legacy of Service. So I want you to go and pick up that book on Amazon today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, I have two kids in college, and even with a perfect GPA, it is more difficult than ever before to get jobs and internships right now for college students that are in college or even those who recently graduated. We need more people talking about how we get hired and how to build a career for young people. And our next guest is doing just that. Monica Hightower is a Fortune 500 HR insider, a speaker, and a career strategist. With nearly 2 decades of experience inside major corporations, she has designed intern programs, made return offer decisions, and sat in the rooms where hiring conversations happen. She founded a company called Agero to share this insider knowledge directly with students. Welcome to the show, Monica.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, it is an honor to have you. I am excited. You are welcome on the show anytime at all because you're talking about getting college kids hired, getting them internships. There is nothing more important than that, period.
Yes,
End of story. So I
absolutely.
appreciate you being here. And you've spent nearly 20 years inside these Fortune 500 companies making hiring decisions. So I'm wondering, what made you want to pull back the curtain and share all of this insider information directly with students now?
Yes. So yeah, I spent 18 years watching talented people get passed over due to systems they didn't even know existed. Folks don't really realize what recruiters are truly looking for. They're only spending about 6 or 7 seconds on resumes and needing to know what should be on that resume, what and how it should be formatted. It's an insider secret that folks just don't understand. Not to mention LinkedIn, not to mention how to interview, what to say, how to say it. There's just a long list of things that folks just don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of these things. What are some of the big misconceptions that college students have about how recruiting and hiring actually works?
Yeah. So I think that the biggest thing is that the most talented, the most qualified student or the most qualified applicant isn't the one that's going to necessarily get the offer. Another big thing is that recruiters and HR folks know more than you think, and their job is to quickly assess you and to sell you to the hiring manager. I often get folks who are in technical roles who just talk to me about their leadership skills as opposed to talking to me about their work in Python. I understand these technical systems because as a recruiter, I need to in order to appropriately measure you and sell you to the hiring manager. So when you talk to anyone in HR, talk about your technical acumen in addition to behavioral skills.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to mention all of those specifics like Python and C++ and all of
Oh,
the
yeah.
things, because your recruiter is going to be familiar with it. They might not know how to code in
Oh,
specific,
no, we do not.
but they certainly know the languages and they know what you need to know.
Yeah.
So that's really good. So what separates the students who actually get the internships, actually get the job offers, from all of the students who also seem qualified on paper, but they get completely overlooked?
Oh, yeah. So I think that on paper part is a big thing. There is a certain science and format to your resumes. The understanding how a recruiter scans and what they're looking for and how they filter you out is important. Simple typos will filter you out immediately. There were resumes I received that didn't have contact information. So even if I wanted to call the candidate, I couldn't. So I think it's important for folks to know that I will have 1,000 applicants for a job, and about half of them are immediately filtered out because of their resume. And it's simple things. The next thing is about LinkedIn. So your LinkedIn has to be optimized. I totally understand why people hate LinkedIn. It is frustrating. It feels spammy at times. We get a lot of junk mail, everyone, candidates and professionals, but it is used in hiring decisions. Every single Fortune 500 company I've worked for, they proactively recruited using LinkedIn. And we only could find people who had a strong LinkedIn presence, postings that were up to date, and an experience section that made sense. The other thing that sets folks apart is networking. Networking isn't just sending a message to a recruiter and saying, hey, I'm interested in anything that you have opening at your job. That's not networking. So if you want to be set apart, if you want to be separated from other students, you just have to stand out and do more. Look at my profile. Take a look at the postings I just recently made. Take a look at my contributions that I'm bragging about to the company because to LinkedIn because everyone likes to brag about what they contribute and speak about that. Say, hey, I just saw that ABC company is launching a new product. How are you going to be benefiting that? What is that going to contribute to the organization's future and this specific role that's open? So you have to be specific, you have to be personalized in your networking, and that will for sure help you stand out.
Wow, that is fantastic advice. I really like that a lot. Talk about that first interview. What are recruiters really evaluating during that first interview that students don't even realize?
Yeah. So it is how you answer the question. The biggest thing that happens or occurs is that when a recruiter or hiring manager asks an interview question, folks speak in hypotheticals. I would have overcome this obstacle by doing X, Y, and Z. What we're really looking for is hearing you say, during a project team, I did ABC, and here's how it worked out for me. Or here is how I was able to get more volunteers for that fundraiser event for my Greek organization. That we want to hear specifics about what you did and what the impact was. And then we'll continue to ask probing questions from there. And that's also how we're able to tell who stands out and who is filtered out. Because as we probe deeper, if you're unable to tell us exactly what you did and how you did it and what issues occurred and how you overcome those, we can tell that you just use AI, we can tell that you just practice in the car, and we're moving on.
Mm. See, I love that because, Monica's talking about specifics and data and outcomes. All those things are super important, right? So we want to have actual metrics that show what is the impact that you made. And that helps us to know, were you great at that position or were you terrible? I don't really know. Just because you put down your position doesn't mean you were actually successful. So, let's
Exactly.
talk about those specifics. Let's talk about data. And a lot of these fraternity and sorority members, they do have leadership roles. Maybe they were committee chairperson, or maybe they were on exec board, they were president, treasurer, secretary, etc. So, how can students better translate all of those leadership experiences in college into language that employers actually value?
Right. All of that means nothing, right? Unless you are able to create those experiences and those bullet points on your resume that tells that story. Yes, you were a treasurer for this, but what did you do? How many folks did you organize with? How I'm
You're
sorry.
absolutely right.
I
No,
caught
listen, you're absolutely right.
a
If you were a treasurer, a really good example would be, how much, what percentage were you able to reduce
right,
expenses for your organization?
right,
Or if we're talking about receivables, let's say you have a third of your brothers that are past due on paying their dues, maybe you reduced it from, a third down to a quarter, right?
right.
So all of those metrics and those numbers, they mean something.
Right. And like a chapter president, I see a lot of those. That's not just a job title. That means that you were leading the organization, you're leading a group of people, but what did you do? How did you do it? How did you organize it? Did you use Excel? Did you use project management skills? I want folks to always use these organizations and these societies that they're a part of and these leadership roles and use that as though it is a job and it's another experience. So I want to see the organization, what your title was, and I want to see the same bullet points that you would use for your resume. So that includes your experience, the job duties, the impact, and what you accomplished.
Perfect. Now, you've seen a lot of resumes in your day. So, what is the biggest resume mistake that you see students making over and over again?
Yeah, it's two things really. And the first one is that their resume reads as a job description. It just tells me a list of job duties that they did at every single employer or every single organization they were a part of. I want to see the task, the impact, or their accomplishment. So that means I expect to see data points. I want to see that you were able to reduce errors by X% using whatever systems that you created or whatever processes you put in place. And I also want to know how you did it. Did you have to partner with senior leaders? Did you have to create a group to get it done and create a project and have a project plan? those small, what people think are small experiences generally could be bigger than what they assume, but you have to pull it out on the resume and translate it into something the recruiter wants to see.
Hmm. I love it. Now, one of the big mistakes that I see college students making is they wait to start networking or finding their job at like graduation day or the day after graduation. This is when they're looking for a job. This is like the worst time to be looking for a job because everybody's looking for a job at this moment. So, how early should students begin preparing for recruiting season if they really want to be competitive and land their dream job?
Freshman year.
There
I
you
think
go. That's the right answer.
and I mean it. I think that folks don't, because just like any normal college student, and I want to use normal because this is normal, you change your direction, you change your interests, you change as a person. I changed my major about 3 times in college, and I don't regret it, and it worked out for me well. So the purpose of starting as a freshman year, because that starts getting you into a rhythm. It starts allowing you to think about, okay, how does this major translate into a future role? And how does that future role translate back into my activities, into my summer jobs, into the organizations that I potentially want to work for? That all also translates into networking, because if I know I want to work for a certain organization, I can begin immersing myself in their world, in their in their business, and in those people that work for the organization, and begin networking.
Love it. Really, really good stuff. Now, you're talking about networking. You mentioned LinkedIn before. How should college students approach alumni, let's say, of their organization or alumni of their institution that they graduated from? How should they approach all of these alumni on LinkedIn without sounding awkward or just opportunistic or feeling like too salesy?
The majority of folks do sound awkward and salesy, as well as just copy and paste when they approach me. And
Mhm.
it frustrates me because it's a shame. You're clearly spending time of your day, out of your day, to reach out to folks and to research people. With that said, it needs to be personalized. So with alumni, the same story. Take a look at what they're posting, take a look at their background and where they are. And when you reach out to them on LinkedIn, make sure it is personalized. Speak to the fact that you are both alumni. Speak to the fact that you may have other things in common, but most importantly, be specific on what you're looking for. Are you looking for a coffee chat? And if so, why? Are you looking to learn more about the culture that they work in, more about a specific team that you're interested in getting involved in, or a specific role that is posted? You want to be specific and personal.
Love it. And you know what? I think the college students have an advantage here over you and I because they typically really don't have anything to sell. They're just trying to understand your company or understand how you got there or understand if you have any leads for any college students, like an internship or something like that. But they don't really have anything to sell other than themselves, right?
No, that's
They're not
it.
going to sell you like a bunch of Tupperware or something. Like they don't have that stuff.
Yeah. But alumni really enjoy speaking to folks, though. I
Yeah,
think that they feel like this is part of their mentorship, a part
sure,
of their giving back. But
sure.
I also want people to know that hiring managers and senior leaders like to do the same. These folks really enjoy helping the youth,
Sure.
helping people get inside the door, and but only if they seem interested.
Yep.
Um, I remember a certain organization, we targeted recent grads. It was all we wanted because we only had a bunch of, and this was their words, not mine, old white men in leadership positions. And we wanted to make sure we diversified by generation and by other things as well. And they were seeking out people who were proactive and who seemed to be passionate about their career.
Yeah, that's all great points. And let's be honest too, the alumni, they like talking about themselves too.
That too.
I mean, you got
That
to feed
too.
into their ego. Like they have an ego too. And so, if you ask me, how did I get to this position? Then of course I have a little bit of an ego and I like talking about myself. And that's okay. So, but know that. And so ask them about themselves. Ask them how they got to this point. And they like talking about themselves too. So I think you're feeding into their ego a little bit. And also, they like to mentor the youth and they want to see the youth be successful too. So you got to feed into that a little bit too. And so that's part of it. But All really good stuff, really great conversation. Now, I know you work with a lot of candidates before they go in for the interview, right? So, how can students prepare for interviews in a way that goes beyond just like memorizing answers to company history and things like that? How do you prepare for an interview the best?
Yeah, so I teach my students to prepare by translating what's on their resume to exactly the 10 or 15 questions that most of these organizations pick from to ask you during the interview. And it's so embarrassing. For the last 18 years, there's this book that folks use that inside HR folks use, and it's about 15 or 20 questions, and we still choose from those questions. It's what's your greatest weakness? Tell me about an obstacle you had to overcome. Tell me about your greatest accomplishment. All of those are phrased differently for each organizations, but something like it is coming. So what we do is we review every single one of those questions. And then we develop stories. So I call it a story bank. So we take a look at their greatest accomplishments, their greatest achievements, their obstacles that they've been through, and then we practice how we're going to respond to those questions. Excuse me. I don't know why I have a thing in my throat.
That's okay.
Excuse me. So yeah, just being prepared with your story bank that will generally cover about 3 questions each. Then you can answer those during the interview. And
Yeah.
it's not hypothetical. It's not a fake story. It's literally something that you did. So it'll come natural to you when you speak to it during the interview. It'll be thorough and it will show your task, the impact of your accomplishment with every single answer.
Yeah, you know these questions are coming. So just have those positive success stories that you can tell a recruiter or a hiring manager, but you should have 3 or 4 success stories and then you can pull them out whenever that question comes up because you know that question is coming. Like we all know it's coming. Like it's so obvious. So
I
like
know.
just have those success stories ready to go and you can just title them, right? The day I hit a home run.
Right.
Just and so you know what that story is. And so when the question comes, you're like, Bing, I'm going to pick one of 4. And I'm like, oh, okay, the day I hit a home run. Let me tell you about this story when I was in the ninth inning and there were 2 outs and I won the game.
But it's
So
mhm.
yeah,
But it's also important that it's thorough, right? And
yes.
and and that goes back to what I said earlier. These hiring managers and decision makers will be probing you. And there is a debrief that happens after your interview. So if you tell one interviewer one story and then change it to be something else for the next interviewer, we remember that, we talk about it, and that will filter you out. So you have to make sure it's true, it's honest, and it's thorough, and you consistently answer it.
Yeah, absolutely. They will compare notes if you're talking to multiple people in a company. So yeah, if there's anything untrue or inconsistent about your story, that's immediately going to get you weeded out. So make sure you are consistent the whole way. All right. So the other piece is negotiating salary, and I know this is something that you're really an expert in. Why do you think so many young people are uncomfortable in negotiating salary, and what can they do to improve that part?
Yeah, everyone's uncomfortable with negotiating salary. It happens with students and it happens up to senior leader roles. But I think it's one, there's no guideline to train you on how to do it. But what is the worst that can happen? They're going to say no, and they're going to just continue to move forward with your offer anyway. I think that folks have to know that when hiring managers or when recruiters extend you the offer, they generally leave room for negotiation so that because they know that you are going to negotiate. But you want to make sure you have at it with some facts. There's a ton of tools out there where you can take a look at what jobs offer based off experience, based off location, and based off the skills required for the job. So you can take a look at that so you can just come forth with an educated recommendation when you do negotiate.
Yeah, that's a great point. Use those tools and come back to them and say, hey, based on the research that I've done for this particular position, this particular location, this amount of
Correct.
experience, it tells me that I should be in this range. Do you think that that is a range that we can get to?
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, being armed with data instead of just saying, I need you to opt the offer, that certainly
Absolutely.
helps the conversation.
Absolutely. And that data is sometimes public. So depending on what state you live in, that information is on the job description. So
Yeah.
if you are in a neighboring state that allows or requires organizations to post salaries for jobs or salary ranges for jobs, you can also pull that into the conversation. That is another data point.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a lot of research is required.
I love it. Now, Monica, I am a New Yorker. I was born in Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan, New York City. So I'm the real deal. Okay. And I'm going to be coming back to New York City this summer. I live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but I just booked my flight yesterday. I'm going to be coming at the end of July. So I need to know, where should I be going in order to get a great bite to eat in town? Because I think you are a foodie like me.
I really like Keen's. It's a steakhouse in New York City. It's my go-to spot when I want to do something special and when I just want a good steak. But it's delicious and the ambiance is beautiful. But I'll let you be surprised.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna be surprised. I like a good steak too, so that sounds right up my alley. Typically, it's funny because a lot of the New York steakhouses are really dark. Like there's no windows,
Yes,
and
it's
I'm like, why is it so dark in here? And then like I went to like Del Frisco's as an example, and they have windows like from floor to ceiling in Del
oh,
Frisco's, and
I
I
love
just I love the natural light, but I'm like, why is Del Frisco's the only steakhouse that has light? It's so weird. But I
that is
will
a good
tell you.
observation. Now that I think of it.
Yeah, seriously, like they're so dark. And I'm like, I get the romantic vibe, and that's cool. I don't have anything opposed to that. But I do like a little bit of natural light too.
Yeah, of
Anyway,
course.
but that's just my beef with New York City steakhouses. The
No
whole,
pun intended. That was a
no
good
pun
one. I
intended.
saw what you did there.
All right. So, Monica, if our student listeners, if they want to utilize your services, or maybe they want to invite you to speak on their college campus to help other college students to get hired or get the internship that they want, where should they go to connect with you?
Right. So I have an Instagram. It's Ajaro Career Coach that they can go to, or they can go to my website at www.ajaro.com. Send me an email at hello@ajaro with whatever you need. But yes, I do workshops at college campuses. I have a few scheduled for this year. I also do workshops for Greek organizations or any other professional organizations in addition to my coaching program.
That is fantastic. And I'm going to spell Ajaro for you because I didn't know how to spell it. So I'm assuming that nobody listening knows how to spell it either. It's AJAROE.com. So that
Correct.
is the website. And if you want to send an email, just send an email to hello@ajaro.com. So, Monica, thank you so much for sharing all this great information with our listeners today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation with Monica and if you learned something today, this is what I want you to do. I want you to share a link to this episode with your entire chapter. Throw it in a group chat, throw that link in there so all of your members can listen to Monica, or just share it on social media because you never know who needs to hear Monica's message today. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.